They saw something go through the sky and into the trees, and they pulled the truck over.
You said that the government has alien bodies or alien species. Have you seen the spacecraft?
What I personally witnessed myself was very disturbing.
Scientists just minutes ago discovered that the ancient legacies we have uncovered so far may not be from this universe, and their creators could still be among us. This universe, filled with so many stars, boggles the mind. Surely some visitors could come from there. Yet, some think these horrible objects are not from distant galaxies. They're part of Earth's own secret projects or ancient, mystical legacies. What if we've been completely wrong, and they're from somewhere plotting our extermination? Let us expose the truth of these entities' plans that the authorities are hiding from you. The spiritual dimension of UFOs. We often get confused when we see mysterious objects flying in the sky. These sightings start big debates about their origins. Some think they are advanced technology from our own world, while others believe they are from outer space. Every new sighting makes us more curious to find out the truth. Back in the 1950s, figures like Ray Palmer and Kenneth Arnold introduced a captivating idea. They argued that UFOs might not come from space at all. Instead, they proposed that these objects could be linked to ancient mystical practices of Earth itself. This theory slowly attracted followers who believed that the secrets of UFOs are not scattered across the stars, but are buried in Earth's past. Yet, these fascinating ideas do not make our understanding of UFOs any clearer. Instead, they turn our search for answers into a never-ending chase. We're always reaching for answers that seem to slip away. Trying to solve the history of UFOs often feels like we're in a scene from a science fiction movie, filled with endless questions and few real answers. Could this all be just a product of our imaginations? Or might there be a deeper truth behind these sightings? The uncertainty around UFOs only grows deeper, and as we continue to investigate, the topic remains wide open, packed with unexplained sightings and speculative ideas that push the limits of what we understand about the world. In their book UFOs, What on Earth is Happening, John Weldon and Zola Levitt add another dimension to the UFO discussion. They urge us to consider that there might be a spiritual world running parallel to our visible one. According to their view, this hidden realm has a significant influence on our lives, affecting us in ways we might not even notice. This concept invites us to think about UFOs not just as mysterious flying objects, but as possible connections to a broader, spiritual aspect of our existence. As we keep searching and asking questions, the ongoing mystery of UFOs reminds us of the vast unknowns that still lie ahead, prompting us to look further and deeper into both the seen and the unseen aspects of our universe. They describe this hidden space as a parallel universe, full of countless beings and entities that are as numerous and varied as those we see in our own world. They explain that this invisible but clearly imagined realm interacts with our world, subtly altering our realities in subtle yet significant ways. Their theories echo the long-held beliefs of mystics and those involved in the occult, who have often spoken of an astral world that is as detailed and organized as the physical world we live in. Whelan and Levitt suggest that certain parts of this otherworldly domain are loosely connected to our physical realm, while others are more intricately woven together, forming unseen connections between the world we live in and the hidden realms they describe. Talking about other realms is easy. Anyone can make up stories and claim the existence of unseen worlds. However, proving these claims with actual scientific facts is a lot harder. The authors do point out that there is some scientific backing for their ideas, though it is as confusing as it is intriguing. For instance, in 1929, physicist Werner Heisenberg challenged the traditional scientific view of the universe with his uncertainty principle. He proposed that to truly grasp the nature of the universe, we should consider that an object might exist in all possible states at once, not just being or not being, but all the possibilities in between. Later, physicists John A. Wheeler and Hugh Everett expanded on this idea with a theory that sounds like something from a science fiction story. They suggested that every point in space and time is interconnected, effectively reducing the dimensions of time and space to almost nothing. This theory introduces possibilities like traveling faster than light or moving through time. These scientific discussions lend some credibility to the unusual ideas that Valen and Levitt discuss. However, they also place us at the edge of a scientific dilemma. While Whelan and Levitt try to merge scientific knowledge with spiritual beliefs, it's worth questioning if they are merely stretching scientific theories to include supernatural explanations. This blending of established scientific theories with spiritual claims makes one wonder if they are leading us towards a true understanding or down a path filled with unverifiable theories. Science and spirituality collide in ways you won't expect. Visitors from alternate Earths, fact or fiction. As they weave their narrative, the authors try to link these scientific concepts back to the spiritual assertions they started with. They argue that not only is the spiritual realm real, but it also has a structure and complexity that matches our physical world. By doing this, they seek to legitimize their broader assertions by anchoring them in groundbreaking scientific discoveries that were never meant to explain supernatural phenomena in the first place. The challenge for Valen and Levitt is making their interpretations of these scientific theories accessible and believable to a broader audience without veering into the territory of pure speculation. As they navigate this intricate intersection of science and spirituality, and what they might mean for our understanding of the universe and our own existence within it. Throughout their discussion, Velen and Levitt encourage us to consider the possibility that our universe is much more complex and interconnected than we have previously thought. They invite us to explore the implications of such a universe, where the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual are blurred, and where our understanding of reality is constantly challenged and expanded. As intriguing as these ideas are, they require us to approach them with an open mind, ready to consider new ways of thinking about our world and the unseen forces that shape it. The idea that our universe is one among countless others isn't a novel one. For a long time, scientists have pondered the existence of an infinite array of universes, each slightly different from the next, yet existing simultaneously without any awareness of each other. This old theory, now wrapped in new scientific language, suggests that each universe keeps splitting, forming endless variations of itself. Consider the case known as the Laxton encounter, which was meant to introduce a broader conversation. Instead of becoming entangled in a web of complex explanations, we're given the straightforward account of a visitor from another Earth. On a seemingly regular morning in November 1957, in Playa del Rey, California, Richard Kehoe, who worked for the telephone company, had an unusual experience. While driving, his car suddenly stopped working. As he got out to see what was wrong, he encountered what he described as an egg-shaped object surrounded by a striking blue light. From this object, two figures emerged. These figures looked almost human, but had yellow-green tinted skin and wore outfits that seemed lifted from an old science fiction movie. This event is often pointed to as strong evidence that we might be receiving visits not from outer space, but from parallel Earths. These visitors looked very much like us, which might suggest they share a common origin rather than being from a different planet. Their questions about time, although intriguing, actually pose a logical issue. Why would such advanced visitors need to ask about the time? Meanwhile, in another reported incident, a woman claimed to be deeply affected by her encounter with these beings, an account that feels like it's straight out of a sensationalized story. These accounts, while entertaining, often do little beyond providing fodder for speculative, non-scientific discussions. As she walked across a field, a woman suddenly fell into the grass, slipping into a trance. Above her, strange lights floated in the sky, with one light dropping closer to the ground. Mr. Ralph Butler, who was with her, tried to help, but he stopped when he heard a mechanical voice from her, asking, "What is your time cycle?" This odd event taps into a common theme among UFO enthusiasts. Time is often claimed to be crucial in understanding these encounters. In his book, UFOs Operation Trojan Horse, John Keel argues that time is an illusion. This notion might seem a bit convenient. It's a handy way to explain away any confusing parts of UFO stories. Strange encounters push the limits of reality and time. The paranormal activity of missing time. Consider Mr. R.D. Smallrich from 1959, who said he was suddenly taken from his motel and spent 2 hours talking with dead beings in a strange place. Yet, when he returned, no time had passed in his room. The clock was still at 12:05. Similarly, some people report disappearing for days, only to feel like a few hours have passed. Mediums and people who practice automatic writing also claim they can bend time, experiencing it speeding up or slowing down. This makes their stories more dramatic, but it's hard to take seriously without any real evidence. These stories often rely heavily on the manipulation of time, as if adding a bit of science fiction makes them unquestionable. By accepting that time can be manipulated, other logical questions about these events are often ignored. Though these tales are intriguing, they frequently lack solid proof. They tend to stir curiosity without resolving any mysteries, using the theme of time manipulation to sidestep logical explanations. Instead of concrete evidence, we are left with vague possibilities and unanswered questions, led by stories that are as detached from reality as they are deeply embedded in our fascination with the unknown. This cycle of telling and retelling UFO stories continues, mostly because of our endless interest in the unexplained. Each story recycles familiar ideas, using time as a key element to keep the narrative exciting and mysterious. However, this often feels more like a tactic to enhance the allure of these tales, rather than a genuine attempt to uncover the truth. As these stories multiply, they become more elaborate, but not necessarily more credible, leaving us with more speculation than actual answers. UFOs, while confusing and hard to understand, are undeniably real. Their ability to warp time only adds a personal touch to each encounter, not reducing their actual presence. Even though we talk about time and space as if they are complex, to these cosmic travelers, they're just minor details. Our thoughts frequently go to those people who disappear without any warning, not those running from danger or caught in some crime, but those who seemingly evaporate into thin air, leaving no trace or reason behind their sudden absence. Consider the unnerving tale of Frederick Valentich, who, on a particularly still October evening, was flying over the dark Bass Strait waters, located south of Australia. Suddenly, both he and his aircraft disappeared, leaving nothing but a haunting silence behind. The following morning dawned typical and mundane, with no indication of the oddity that occurred the night before. Valentich had left Moorabbin at 6:20 p.m., heading towards King Island. It was a routine flight intended to help him accumulate the necessary hours to earn his pilot's license. However, everything changed at 7 p.m., transforming his ordinary flight into a bizarre and frightening experience. Valentich reached out to air traffic control, his voice filled with fear, reporting a strange sighting that disrupted the calm of his flight. He described seeing an aircraft made of metal, shining and equipped with bright green lights, hovering dangerously close to his plane. Air traffic controller Steve Roby later remembered the last moments of their conversation, noting how Valentich's voice was heavy with a clear sense of distress. A man thrown into an unexpected and confusing situation, yet his thoughts were still sharp and focused. As reported by the Sydney Morning Herald, Roby found Valentich's demeanor during their final interaction to reflect a man deeply engaged in his troubling circumstances, yet entirely coherent and articulate. Valentich's first question to the controller was about the presence of other planes in the vicinity, receiving a clear negative in response. Discover the chilling disappearance of Frederick Valentich, the disappearance that stunned Australia. The dialogue between Valentich and the controller took a serious turn, as Valentich shared more about his alarming experience. He explained how the metallic object, which moved erratically and at speeds that didn't make sense according to known aviation standards, seemed to be playing a dangerous game with him. At one point, the object was above him, then it vanished, only to reappear shortly after, zooming towards him with unsettling precision. Valentis couldn't escape the feeling that this was not just any ordinary aircraft, but something far more threatening. Then, at 7:12 p.m., after Valentik firmly stated that the object was not a normal aircraft, the only noise that pierced the silence was a strange metallic sound that lasted for a disturbing 17 seconds. After that, everything fell quiet, a deep, unnerving silence that mirrored the mysterious void left by his disappearance. Valentik wasn't the only one to see strange sights in the sky on that night. Others across the area also reported seeing unusual objects, providing multiple accounts of the strange happenings. Despite these various eyewitnesses, the incident remains an unsolved case, a stark reminder of our vulnerability in the face of unknown forces. It's a story that challenges our understanding of the world, leaving us without any clear answers or solutions, only a persistent discomfort and the difficult acknowledgement that some occurrences are just out of our reach. That evening, many people spread out over a large area reported seeing brightly glowing objects and long, narrow crafts speeding through the sky in ways that seemed impossible. While some believed these could be meteors, the strange, intentional movements of these objects were hard to explain by simple natural forces like gravity. A few days after Frederick vanished, another pilot saw similar unusual phenomena. Unlike Frederick's terrifying ordeal, this pilot managed to avoid any danger and landed safely, a stark difference from Frederick's tragic flight. The authorities quickly organized a thorough search, covering both the sky and the sea for 4 days, hoping to find any remains of Frederick or his plane. Despite their intense efforts, they came up empty. People who knew Frederick insisted he was not one to make up such a story, describing him as a joyful, honest man with a stable character. During his last known radio call, Frederick described seeing unidentifiable objects moving incredibly fast and shining strangely in the sky. Ground witnesses confirmed seeing similar strange sights. With these accounts, the idea that this was merely a technical failure or a mistake by Frederick seemed increasingly unlikely. Was it possible that Frederick accidentally crossed into another time, or a different version of Earth where he was unknown? It's clear that he ran into something extremely unusual before he disappeared without a trace. On a strange day in February 1965, another odd event took place in Bloomberg, Pennsylvania. The skies there inexplicably dropped small plastic pellets over a couple of city blocks. This weird event started and stopped suddenly, with no explanation of how it happened. Our planet has seen many strange things, from showers of live animals like fish and frogs, to inanimate objects like plastic pellets and metal pieces falling from the sky. Common explanations suggest that strong storms might pick these objects up and carry them long distances. However, these explanations often don't fully cover the more strange events. Consider the falls of inanimate materials, such as plastics, or large chunks of ice. It seems easier to accept that there might be occasional changes in natural laws that allow these events, rather than sticking solely to traditional weather explanations. Brad Steiger, a writer and teacher, has spoken about how our view of reality might be more flexible than we think, suggesting that what we see as solid might not really be so. However, when evidence claimed from encounters with strange beings is examined, it often turns out to be just normal materials from Earth, leading many to conclude that these stories are just made up. This skepticism prompts us to reconsider not only the nature of these weird happenings, but also our readiness to accept simplistic explanations for them. Ancient myths meet modern science, revealing hidden truths. The theory of human-like visitors. When looking into the current theories, it's much more reasonable to think that the artifacts we find are made from common Earth metals, not some unknown space materials. On the evening of July 13, 1967, Robert Richardson and his friend were driving in Ohio when they accidentally ran into a UFO that was trying to lift off the ground. This unexpected crash left behind a piece of metal and some strange, thread-like material on Richardson's car bumper, which he found when he went back to the site. Dr. Alan Hynek from Wisconsin State University analyzed these materials and discovered they were made of iron, chromium, and magnesium, all elements found here on Earth. This finding supports the idea that our visitors might be from a different version of Earth with the same elements we have, not from a far-off star. The suggestion that these visitors come from parallel Earths, not from outer space, is getting more believable, especially considering what they have told us, which we often overlooked because we were too caught up with the idea of aliens. On another occasion, January 30th, 1965, a ham radio operator in California encountered a being named Zeno, who came from an unidentified egg-shaped craft. Zeno, who seemed to know much about Earth without asking questions, said he came from a planet hidden behind another celestial body. This so-called hidden planet, said to share Earth's orbit and look just like it, if it existed, we would have noticed its effects on other planets through its gravity, similar to how we found Pluto. It's odd that many of these visitors look exactly like humans, suggesting that if they were living among us, we might not recognize them, unless we noticed their strange behaviors or their unusually accurate predictions. Throughout history, gods in different cultures are shown as human-like, with technology that seems too advanced for their times. These old stories, which have been told since the Sumerian times, often feature beings who promise to come back, equipped with what appear to be tools from the future. While some researchers who delve into the mysteries of ancient astronaut theories speculate that these beings might hail from distant planets, it's increasingly thought that they could originate from a more sophisticated version of our own Earth. This concept aligns with certain physics theories that entertain the possibility of multiple universes. These theories suggest that what we interpret as myths of gods and enigmatic visitors could actually be interactions with alternative versions of ourselves from different realities. As our understanding of quantum mechanics deepens, we might eventually unlock the capability to traverse these parallel universes. Such a breakthrough would reveal that the enigmatic locales often spoken about in ancient texts and stories, like Planto, Clarion, and Argent, are not alien planets, but rather alternate Earths. Each one presents a different set of circumstances and possibilities, viewed through an ever-shifting spectrum of infinite potentialities. Embracing this perspective offers a more grounded explanation for the fantastical tales of star-born visitors, linking them not to the far reaches of space, but to the intricate and layered expanse of our own universe. Imagine a future where the theory of parallel universes is not just an idea, but a part of our reality. In this scenario, we could enter versions of Earth where history took different turns, or the rules of physics are not quite the same as we know them. This might help us understand why these visitors appear alien, yet familiar. They could be versions of us from a universe where the fabric of time and space is woven differently. The ancient stories of beings coming from the skies could actually be true accounts of meetings with our counterparts from other worlds, just a small jump away in the cosmos. The concept of an infinite universe suggests that somewhere, the minute details of our lives might be replicated on a far-off planet around a distant star. This idea comes from the thought that in a limitless space, the ways particles come together must at some point repeat, leading to the creation of duplicate worlds where even you reading this sentence could exist elsewhere. Another theory suggests that before everything began with the Big Bang, there was a universe that was a complete reverse of ours, where time flowed backward and actions like an egg coming back together were normal. The multiverse theory breaks down into several types, each more intriguing than the last. The first type is an infinite universe, suggesting our cosmos stretches endlessly, implying countless repeats of our own corner of the universe. Then there are the bubble universes, like bubbles in an expanding cosmic foam, each potentially with its own set of rules for physics. There's also the quantum multiverse, where every possible event does happen in some alternate reality, creating an infinite branching of outcomes. The most abstract idea is of universes not just with different histories, but governed by completely different basic physics. These ideas stretch our understanding of reality to its limits, proposing a universe where our existence is just one version among endless others, questioning the uniqueness of our individual experiences. However, these ideas are met with skepticism, as they currently go beyond what we can prove with science. Critics point out that without the ability to test these ideas, they remain just that, ideas, without evidence to back them up. The idea of a multiverse has really caught people's attention in pop culture, bringing a whole new level of excitement to stories in movies, TV shows, books, and comics. Imagine a world where not just one universe exists, but many, each different from the next. This isn't just a cool concept for scientists. It's a goldmine for storytellers who want to take their characters on wild, unlimited adventures. In the world of movies, Marvel has really brought the multiverse into the spotlight. Like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man No Way Home show heroes meeting other versions of themselves from different universes. It's thrilling to see all these different possibilities play out on the big screen, with characters facing challenges that could change the very fabric of their reality. TV shows have also jumped on the multiverse bandwagon. Take Rick and Morty, for example. This show is all about a smart but grumpy scientist and his nervous grandson who hop between universes, facing bizarre and hilarious situations. Each episode is like a new adventure, showing just how weird and wonderful the multiverse can be. It's not just about the laughs, though. It makes you think about how different choices could lead to completely different lives. Books have been exploring this theme for a long time. Michael Moorcock's series about the Eternal Champion dives deep into this idea, with a hero who lives many lives in many worlds, each time facing new challenges. These stories make you wonder about the big what-ifs in life, like what if you had made different decisions at key moments. Another book, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, follows a man who wakes up in a world where all his personal history has changed. It's a deep and sometimes emotional look at how life could turn out so differently based on the choices we make. Comics are where the multiverse has been a staple for ages. Way back in the 1960s, DC Comics came up with their own multiverse, where superheroes from different Earths could meet and team up. It was a clever way to handle having so many stories that didn't quite fit together and made for some epic matchups. Marvel didn't stay behind. They have their Spider-Verse, where different Spider-Men from different universes come together. It's fascinating to see all these different heroes, each with their own unique style and story, come together to fight a common enemy. The reason the multiverse appeals so much in stories is because it opens up endless opportunities. Writers can let their imaginations run wild, creating scenarios that would be impossible in a single universe setting. For the audience, it's a chance to see their favorite characters in new roles, facing new challenges, and sometimes even meeting other versions of themselves. But the multiverse idea isn't just about making stories more interesting. It also touches something deeper in all of us. It's about the what-ifs that we all think about. It's comforting and exciting to think that, in some other universe, a different version of us is living out those other choices we could have made. That somewhere, all our dreams and all our versions live on. Could our most extraordinary myths be memories of our encounters with parallel selves? Share your thoughts in the comments, like, and subscribe for more mind-bending explorations.